All right, we are back and we are live. Welcome back, you guys, to our daily live feed. And as you are joining us, if you would like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. If you're logging on Instagram, we also have this available on YouTube and Facebook as well. You'll see screen shares and photos and chats and things like that if you're on YouTube. That is your best experience. If you would like to switch over to YouTube and you're on Instagram right now, you can click on the link in my bio and our channel is on there. Going over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, turn on your notifications. We go live at least 3 nights a week, sometimes more. As you get logged on, say hi. Hey, yes, happy Thursday. This week has flown by, absolutely flown by. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. Weekend's on its way. For me, my weekends are always busier. What's up? Welcome, guys. Hey. All the cuties are in the house. Love it. Oh, I love that you're on live. Yeah, Gwen, I see your comments come in all the time after the fact. So that's the other thing, too. If you go back to watch the replays, you can replay it on any one of the platforms right after we do it, but you'll see all the live comments pop up on YouTube as well. And then I also do download them off of here and put them onto Spotify too. So I'll put the Spotify QR code up right now. So if you're not listening on Spotify yet, that is right here. That's our Spotify channel right there. If you want to scan that QR code, they'll take you over to Spotify. So we have the majority of our lives that we've done here since I opened up the Spotify are now on there as well. So you can go up there too. So whatever platform you like best, you can listen or watch on Spotify. Same thing on YouTube, all that. So Jared's here. Yes, Jared's the one guy among all of the ladies. He's kind of smart. I'm just saying. Welcome, guys. Welcome. So, like I said, we usually let this go for a few minutes until everybody gets logged on, and then we get settled in and we start going and talking about all of our fun things that we have to talk about. And this is a new segment we started just a few weeks ago where we're talking about, oh, my dad's back again. My dad is now a regular, apparently. We are your evening entertainment here. 3 nights in a row, Dad. I'm surprised. I'm shocked. But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so this is a new segment we started a few weeks back. Pops is here, yes, Papa Cutie, right? So I was doing another, yeah, right. We got two guys. Yes. Oh, Mom's there too. Awesome. So my mom and dad are watching together. That's fantastic. Too funny. So back on topic. This is what we started doing a few weeks ago, because what I was doing is I was doing like little vlogs, kind of updating where I was in my progress and all of that. But I kind of felt a little bit like bored talking to myself all the time. I like talking with you guys. Makes it more interesting. We can have a back and forth. Y'all can ask questions while we're talking about what's going on and all of that. So we started doing this a few weeks ago. And I just kind of start telling you what's going on, what I've been up to, and then ask questions as we go along. If you guys have any questions about your own, in-season, improvement season, whatever it is you're going through right now, whether you're in prep or you're not, this is the time to ask the questions and we can have discussions about them, right? So yeah, so just to start out, the reason why we've been doing these on Tanisha's and Prep Leg, yes. On Thursdays, Thursdays are the days I check in with my coach. So Thursday mornings when I check in, sending all my stats and get back what I'm going to be doing for the following week. So for those of you that have been on live with us this week, you know that I had a little bit of a rough week as far as I injured my back on Monday. So how many of you guys out there have tweaked something while training? I know it's a very common thing, and it's usually not actually the thing that you tweaked that was the initial problem, which was the case for me. So it's Team Thursday. Okay, Team Thursday for check-ins, yes. And I like Thursdays because specifically for me, because I go to shows on weekends and things like that. So, I can get my check-ins done before I have to, travel or something like that. So that's why I do Thursdays for me. So yeah, the injuries come. Sometimes they're worse than others, that kind of thing. But a lot of it comes and stems from overuse or using things improperly or wrong form or whatever it may be, right? That's where it stems from. So the tweak in my back, I didn't even feel it when it happened. I was working glutes, I was training glutes, and I was on the leg press. And when I got up off the leg press to go to my next set, all of a sudden my whole back was just radiating pain. And I didn't pop anything. I didn't feel anything when I was actually on the leg press. Just when I got off to go to do my next exercise is when I noticed it. So yeah, back and injuries will slow you all the way down. Like it affects everything. If you get a back injury, like you can't do legs, you can't do upper body, you can't do anything, right? So yeah, it was just one of those things where I was like, well, damn, what did I do? Right. And the more that I thought about it, I realized kind of where it came from. Right. So thankfully, Tuesday is my day off. It's my rest day. So I didn't have to worry about training on Tuesdays. Anyway, so I contacted Massage Hope, and they were able to get me in on Wednesday, which was perfect because I was able to get in on Wednesday, get massaged, and that helped. I was able to do a light training session on Wednesday. So I did shoulders on Wednesday. I typically would have done glutes again, but I just didn't want to re-hurt myself, re-injure myself, right? So I did a really light shoulder workout on Wednesday just to get some blood pumping, that kind of thing. So where I think this is stemming from, me personally, is posing. So I tell you guys this all the time, right? I tell you guys all the time, you got to be on top of your mobility work. You got to be on top of stretching. You got to be on top of your flexibility. You got to be on top of all of that stuff. And this is why, because it leads to other things that are problems, right? My glutes in general are very tight anyway. And that's because I train them a lot. It's because I'm trying to grow them. That stimulus into the glutes is going to make them tight, right? So I do actually go and, foam roll, and I hit my massage gun and all that kind of stuff as much as I possibly can. But, it's still a stimulus, right? So doing 90 minutes of medical needed for me this, yeah, right? Yeah. It was 90 minutes. I did a 90-minute on Wednesday, yesterday. So, and again, when you go to Massage Hope, it's sports therapy. So it's not a typical massage. Moses was my therapist yesterday, and he spent the entire time on my lower back, my glutes, and my legs. That's it, the whole time. So it's very intense, like to the point where I almost cried. Like it was rough. So anyways, so going back to, if you guys remember last week, I was talking about how I'm going to start switching my front side pose over to my left side. My strong side on my front pose is my right side. And so I've always posed on my right side. That's where I'm comfortable, all of that. But we've been noticing some good lines and things like that on my left side. So I need to exploit that. I need to work on it. I need to be able to get into it. I need to be able to hold it, all of those things, right? So over the course of the last week, I've really been nailing that left side a lot, trying to get it into the right spot so that I could see the right lines and I have the right shape. And those are the things that I wanted from that side, which is much more than I typically do. Okay. I probably seriously practice posing 3 days in a row, which I don't typically do in the off season. Like I'll get up and I'll pose, but I won't do it for extended periods of time, which is what I did, which is a lot. It's a lot of stimulus, especially when you're trying to move your body in ways it doesn't want to go in, right? When you're moving yourself through this stuff and you're not that flexible, right? What stretches do you recommend for lower back to help in the front pose? I'll get into that in a little bit. I think what happened, plus on top of that, I'm also going to Cool Contours twice a week. So if you're following my stories, I'm going to Cool Contours twice a week to work on my glutes as well, which is cool toning, which if you guys came to Cuties Conquering the Stage, they were there as well. And some of you guys got a chance to actually do that. So I'm doing 2 sessions of cool toning on my glutes a week as well on Tuesday and Wednesday. And what cool toning does is it works your glutes. So it's an actual procedure, and it gets deep down into the muscle fibers of whatever body part that you're actually training. And it works those muscle fibers to create more density. So again, going back to, I'm trying to build my glutes. So I went there on Tuesday and on Wednesday over the last few weeks. And so it's back to that. If you have 24 hours between each treatment, you're good. So I go in on Tuesday at 10 and on Wednesday at 11. That's my 2 spots for cool toning. So you mix all that into a pot, and guess what? My glutes are tight as hell, right? So I think what happened essentially is when I got off the leg press, I was hitting glutes again when I was training, and it probably just was too much. And that's what pulled everything in there. And as you guys know, everything is connected. So if your hips are tight, your legs are tight, then your lower back's going to be tight, all of that. It's all connected in there, right? So I just took some time to kind of massage it myself and things like that as well, but that didn't work so well. I mean, it was okay. But going in and getting treatment done yesterday definitely helped with that. So with that, what I'm going to do, and what you guys should also be doing as well, is going back and reassessing just how much activity I'm doing, right? So as much as I want to pose all the time, that's probably not the best idea. You got to work your way up. You ever see those people that when they first go to the gym, they just go balls to the wall when they go into the gym for the first couple of days, and then you never see them again because they freaking hurt themselves? Well, you can do the same exact thing when you're posing. You can do the same exact thing when you're posing. If you pose too much, you can actually hurt yourself, right? Because you're pushing your body into positions that it's not meant to go in, right? Yeah, my back, right. We're not meant to tilt our pelvis back like that and push and all those kinds of things. That's not how our body is supposed to be put together. We're not supposed to be doing that, right? So it's hard, it's painful, and you got to make sure that you're staying on top of your flexibility and staying on top of your mobility and staying on top of your recovery and all of those things. So work your way up little by little by little, right? Versus just going at it, going ham for like 3 days straight. And this is why it's also a good idea to always be posing when you're in your off season and not when you just get into prep, right? Because when you get into prep, your body is already going to be depleted. It's already going to be suffering. It's already going to be wanting to recover more. So you should already be ready and conditioned to be able to pose when you get into that state, right? Right? Last medical massage I got, the therapist identified my back and glute issues can be related from tight so I need to address the front to fix the back. Yeah. Yep. So if you guys were at Cutie's Conference Stage 2, I taught y'all how to release your diaphragm. That can also affect your lower back. If you're tight up in front, then you're going to be tight in the back, right? You're going to be tight in the back. Everything is intertwined. Like one piece doesn't go by itself. Everything works together. And if you've got things that are messed up on one side or the other, you got to work those things out, right? Tight hip flexors built up in the front muscle groups. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So the question was asked, like, what stretches do I recommend? All of them. All the stretches, all of them. So here's the thing, you guys, as women, as we get older, our flexibility decreases just naturally. Our flexibility decreases as we get older. So you have to physically be working on your flexibility all the time in order to just stay at like the bare minimum, right? Right on bar none to stay here. If you want to progress past it, you need to be working even harder to go past it, right? So when it comes to stretching for your lower back and things like that, yoga is always a great option. Yoga is always, always, always a great option. Yoga, Pilates, all those kinds of things. The more flexible you can get, the better, right? Just something but agree to all things work together. My card identify the tight adductors for me causing my lower back and hip rotation issues. Absolutely. Yep. For sure. So again, going back to, it's not necessarily your lower back that needs to be stretched. Sometimes it's your hips. Sometimes it's your glutes. Sometimes it's your hamstrings. I see girls all the time that come in and pose for me that can't pose right because their legs are so tight. Their hamstrings are so tight. Their IT band, their quads are so tight, right? You got to get in there and loosen everything up. Everything. You should be stretching every single day in some form or fashion of another, right? It's always something, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like you try to progress in one area and another area drops off, right? It sucks. I mean, that's part of life, right? That's just how it works. So, my suggestion, honestly, tight hamstrings, yes, is making sure that you're just doing regular stretching on a regular basis. Whatever it is that you can do daily, do that. Just don't do nothing. Do something every day, right? I do use a yoga wheel. I use the little squishy soft ball that I showed you guys at Cutie's Conference Stage for releasing the diaphragm, which I'm going to do that actually right after I get done with this live feed and do that tonight. I do that. I do a lot of hip opening stretches. I do a lot of yoga with hip opening. So that tends to help really well as far as getting your legs open, your hips open, your glutes, all of that. Did anyone else just grab their foam roller? I know, right? I'm like sitting here, I'm looking at my ball sitting over in the corner there. I'm like, I wish I could be rolling around on that right now. I do all of that. I have a Theragun, and I'll actually travel with that in my suitcase to shows. I'll take the Theragun with me. Get little things that you can take with you to help you too. Like if you do have to travel, Theraguns work, the little rolling balls, those help. Anything that you specifically find relief from, right? There's no one right or wrong answer here. And again, going back to sometimes the flexibility in your lower back is not your lower back. It could be your hips. It could be something else. It could be stemming from somewhere else. Christina's on here. Christina had an injury in her foot. Everything stems from your feet up. We talk about this too. Everything goes from your feet up when it comes to imbalances in your body, right? Using my lacrosse ball, right? So you land it, let me guess, you're using it on your back. Yeah, I got to do that too. I got to get into my traps and stuff like that and open up in here with the lacrosse ball. Absolutely. Yep. Everybody's on the live right now doing their stretches. I love it. But it really does make a big difference overall. And it's going to also help you with growth of muscle too. If your muscles are tight, they're not going to be able to grow. They're not pliable. They're not going to be able to grow. Right? So think about that. I would never. She took it with, she got it. I was going to say that maybe you let her use it on you. I was about to say, I'm the only one that gets to use that thing on me. Let me just tell you, that thing hurts. But yeah, get yourself a second Theragun. Get yourself a second Theragun. There you go. But the positive side, right? So, I go to Massage Hope every 2 weeks. I usually see Moses. He's usually the one that I see while I'm there. He is the one that gets into my muscles, usually the best. And he told me that from yesterday, he said, whatever you've been doing is you're better. You're getting better. He's like, you're definitely tight still. Like, don't get me wrong, but you're better than you were. And that's always the goal, right? You always want to be better than you were. So it's not necessarily like you're going to solve something, but you want to be better. Right? So get to work on it. And again, it's little by little by little by little. It's not something that's going to be solved overnight. My lower back still hurts right now, but it's good enough that I was able to go train today. I still was careful, made sure I wasn't gonna injure it again, made sure that I got in there and I was stretching and all those kinds of things, the things I'm supposed to be doing. Make sure that you're drinking enough water. I just took a sip of that Red Bull. Make sure that you're drinking enough water. Water is a big deal, you guys. Water is a big deal. Make sure that you're getting enough hydration, right? About to be on a CCTS, and I was like, can I clone you? I know, right? Moses is very, very good. I find that he's very intuitive. He just knows where to go, where you got the most pain. It's always a good quality to have in a massage therapist, obviously. So yeah, a lot of girls, he massaged a lot of the girls at Cutie's Conference Stage, and I heard very similar results for Moses. Yes. Therapist could tell I haven't been stretching or foam rolling in a while. Yeah, they can tell. They can tell when you're doing things right and when you're not. Right? Just like me as a posing coach, I can tell when you've practiced and when you haven't. I can tell. You don't even have to tell me. I can tell. Right? So those things matter, right? Those things matter not just for your posing and to make you a better poser, but for your overall health, and your overall longevity of your body, right? And again, if you are trying to grow, you're not going to be able to grow if you got tight, locked up muscles. It's just not going to happen. So make sure you're taking that part very seriously. And I'm not saying you have to go get massages every 2 weeks. You don't have to do that. If you can, do it. If you can go to a chiropractor, do it. Do whatever you can do in order to help further yourself along. Right? Because it's a downhill battle, or I guess it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle that we're fighting right now. Right? So going back to, I really felt this past week because I increased my posing. Right? So that affected me. Like even when I was taking my photos this morning, I was trying to tilt my lower back in my back pose. And I was like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. I still did it, but it hurt. It hurt for sure. Right. So going past that, Get a massage once a month. You should be getting more than that, Karen. You give massages. You should be getting them too. That's one thing I find too. The people that are like the ones that give the massages and stuff are the last ones that actually get them for themselves, right? Like self-care right there. Self-care. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, right? So, so going back to the rest of the check-in. So my body's responding really, really well. And we've talked about this before. The best thing that you could possibly have as you're going through an improvement season is you want to keep your body composition in check, right? Also don't settle for any kind, right? Yeah. Find somebody that works with you, that knows what they're doing. Absolutely. 100%. Like I said, that's why I go to Massage Hope, because they know what they're doing. They work with athletes all the time. Right. So my body composition is staying in check really, really well. So this week, my macros got bumped up. And that's something that I want you guys to really be paying attention to if you're in an improvement season, is your body composition, which means you want to stay relatively lean. That doesn't mean that you are stage lean by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not anywhere close to being stage lean, but you don't want to go too far overboard when it comes to putting on body fat. We talked about this last week, right? Because it just makes it that much harder to cut it off. So if you're going through an improvement season, and we talked about this last week about the difference between saying an off season versus improvement season. You're not off. You're in improvement season. You still want to feel good in your off season, improvement season body. Okay. Now, again, you shouldn't look stage lean by any stretch of the imagination. Nobody's saying that you have to do that at all. I weighed in at 154 today. I'm 5'9". I was 154 today. The last time that I was on stage, I was 140. I'm guessing by the time I get on stage the next time, I should be a little bit lower than that. I'm hoping to be around 137, 138. So I'm a good 15, 16, 17 pounds, whatever you want to call that, over where I would be on stage. But it's about where the weight and how the weight is distributed across your body, right? Yeah, don't make the next prep harder than it has to be. Absolutely. And here's that point right here. Because the more weight that you put on, you have to still get it off, right? You are not going to put that much muscle on. There is no way in God's green earth that you are going to put 15 pounds of muscle on in the off season. It's not going to happen. If you're lucky, when you get back on stage the next time, you'll have a couple more pounds and it'll be in the right places. That's what you want. You want to have a couple more pounds and you want it to be in the right places. So that's why keeping your body composition in check is very, very important. Because if your body composition is in check while you're in off season, you can see where the weight is going. You can see what's actually growing, what's getting denser, and how your body is shaping up. I have just enough fat on my body right now to feel, I actually really like the way I look right now. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I like the way that my body feels, like the roundness, the curves, all of that. But I can still see through it enough to know that my shape, like where I want to improve my glutes, the shape of my glutes is good, right? And it's not just fat sitting on top of my glutes now. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? If you can keep your body composition in a good place, then you can physically see where you are improving. You can physically see where you're putting the actual size on. Me personally, I didn't need to grow my upper body at all. My upper body can just stay where it is, just maintain. The places I need to grow in my lower body, right? And I see that growth happening because I'm keeping my body composition in check, right? Again, going back to, it's an improvement season, not an off season. Okay, how many of you guys have stayed in a pretty decent spot for your improvement season this time around? I know the last time we were on here, a lot of people were talking about how they were just starting to go into prep. They were just starting to start their cuts in the next week or 3 weeks. A lot of you guys are just starting that. Some of you guys aren't. Some of you guys are still in off season, just like me. You know, just like me. I'm still here in my improvement season and everything too. When you're in that space, when you're in that zone, if you can keep your body composition in a good spot, then you can see those things happening for you, right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You know, you don't want to go way overboard. And again, going back to, if you go way overboard, you got to take that all off, right? You got to take all of that fat back off. And guess what happens when you take that fat off? You take off muscle too. You take off muscle too. There is physically no way to drop fat and not drop muscle too. Now you want to maintain as much of the muscle as possible, but you're going to lose a little bit of it, which is why it's really hard when you come out of all of this to net a positive gain in muscle. That's why it's hard, right? I could have done better goals. If you asked me 3 days ago, I'd say I'm good, but I feel like a sausage. Well, I think sometimes we have those days. You know what I mean? We have those days. We have those sausage days. It's okay. I talk about that all the time. My poor wiener dog, Dolly. She's a little bit of a stuffed sausage. So we make fun of her all the time, say that she's a stuffed sausage. So it's okay. We still love her. She's still cute and fluffy. About me and the roller coaster feels. Yeah. And we all go through that at some point or another, right? But we all should know better. I think most of us know better right here, but that doesn't always translate out. You know what I mean? So, and like I've said before, like I've had really bad off seasons where I have gone way off, but I also have seen what that's done as far as how hard it is to get the weight back off and maintain good weight when you do that, right? You want to be able to hold on to as much of the gains, as much of the actual muscle as you possibly can. That's why having an improvement season is so important, right? It's so important that it's not that you don't just go way off. There is a difference. Taking time off stage is not the same thing as actively pursuing improvements when you're off stage. They're two very, very different things, right? So, and I think a lot of the times what it comes down to as well is that culturally, socially, it's okay for men to get big, you know, and muscular and huge and all that kind of stuff. And that's what they want to do. They want to get enormous. Culturally, socially, it's not okay for women to do that. So in the back of our head, sometimes it's always this battle back here. Like, what am I doing? You know, should I actually be putting on this much weight? Should I actually be getting this much muscle? Am I going to look too big? Am I not going to fit my clothes? You know, all those kinds of things. We have that battle back here in the back of your head all the time. And it can be very overwhelming sometimes. It can be very overwhelming sometimes where you feel like, well, fuck it all. You know, screw it. I'm just going to go off the rails. Who cares? Right? I don't even want to look muscular anyway. Anybody else ever done that? Am I speaking to anybody out there right now? Because I know some of y'all have come into my studio and cried about that sometimes. So I get it. Understand. You know, it's a hard battle. It's a hard battle in your head sometimes. So you have to be able to see through all of that. You have to be able to just block out what you want, right? And when you go through those emotional points, when you go through those time frames where you're second guessing if this is what you actually want to do, maybe you got it written down in your journal somewhere or something, you got it written down where you want your goal. Remember, that's your goal. This isn't your goal where you are right now. This is your goal right here, right? You got to do whatever you got to do in order to get to that goal right there, right? Yes, I stayed 13 pounds above my last age weight, knowing the plan is additional 2 or 3 pounds from the previous show may be needed. Well, and reminding ourselves what our bodies are capable of when it's prep time. Got to keep your eyes on the prize and trust the process. Yep, it's short-lived and I hate being a quitter. Yep. So don't let the emotions and things like that take over. You know, we as women have a particular time of the month where that can be a problem. So sit down and write down what your goals are so that when that time of the month comes around, it's not a problem, right? Makes sense? I know a lot of girls have an issue with that, and you just got to fight through it. You got to fight through it because the hormones start going like this, and you're like, oh, crap. Let me just throw it all away. And then you feel like you got way overboard and you feel like a stuffed sausage, right? That's where you get. That's where you get to. So keep yourself level-headed, right? And do whatever you have to do in order to make that happen. Sometimes that means like I said, like writing it down in a journal or, doing something like this. I keep myself accountable by posting my progress photos. I post my progress photos every single week. I do that on purpose. It keeps me accountable, right? It keeps me accountable. So it keeps me accountable not only to myself and my coach, but to all of you guys watching. When I know I got to put those progress photos out, guess what I do? I stick to my plan. Right? Cigarette to stay on top of your long-term goals. Yeah, the sausage. Yeah, those darn hormones. Yeah. Because if your coach isn't panicking, don't you worry, you're good. LOL, as long as you follow the guidelines, you'll be fine. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I'm like, usually coaches don't panic. Usually they don't. But I do know that clients tend to, if they feel like they've gone off the rails a little bit, they will just kind of get quiet and they won't check in like they're supposed to and things along that line, right? Right? Coaches want to know what's going on, good and bad, so that they can assess it and help you. If they don't know what you fucked up on, they can't help you. You got to tell them. They're not there to judge you. They're to help you, right? So you got to tell them if you screwed up. Your data, exactly. Yep. Feeling that from you when you did the live about more transparent. It's the best improvement season I've had. Yeah. So Brandy does the same thing. She shares her progress photos every week too. It keeps you accountable. Accountability is huge, you guys. Accountability is huge. Yes. And you're collecting data when you do that. Things that you can use as you move forward, right? That's important. The more that you can collect, the more data that you can collect, the further ahead you'll be when you actually get into prep, right? Like, oh, well, I know what my body does when I eat this. I know what my body does when I train that way. I know what my body does when I sleep a certain way, right? All of those things matter. All of those things make a difference, right? Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about too is the stuff that we talked about in the last couple of days as far as presentation details are concerned. So how many of you guys actually saw my photos that I put up and my reel that I put up this morning and how I was wearing a different set of suit bottoms again? Different set of suit bottoms. Again, I'm my own experiment, you guys. I experiment on myself all the time when it comes to looks. So that way I know what I can bring to you as far as looks are concerned. If I don't experiment, I don't know what to do, right? So I made a new suit bottom with a few variables changed because I just wanted to see how it's going to sit on me, and if it's going to look good or if it's going to look bad, all those kind of things. So it had more of a scrunch in the back, shorter straps on it. Wasn't a fan of the shorter straps. But the scrunch, at first, I was like, it's a little bit too much. Like I felt like it dipped down too much. If you saw my stories, I actually said that to my coach today. I was like, yeah, I put extra scrunch into this one. But I'm not really sure if it's too much, that kind of thing. And I just feel like it might be a little bit too much. Maybe not once I'm stage lean. Now, I'm a good 15 pounds over where I'm going to be when I'm on stage. So right now it's too much, but by the time I drop a little bit of size, it might be okay. And then she replied back that she actually liked the way that looked. And also I agree with her. We kind of went back and forth a couple of times. It was like, yeah, it was one of those things when I initially saw it because it was different. I wasn't a huge fan, but I started putting it next to other photos where I had worn suit bottoms that were different, that didn't have that much of a scrunch on it. And I was like, actually, this looks pretty decent. This looks pretty good. I mean, I can see a few places where I could tweak it, like as far as pulling up the hip strap a little higher, but I actually kind of like the scrunch that low. So, again, going back to being able to see these things now and assess these things now so that when we get into the season, we know what we're looking at, we know what we're looking for. And this is also why you need to have somebody like myself who can look at you from the outside in, right? This is also thing that what I said to Jamie. I was like, sometimes I just need a second set of eyes. I need somebody to look at it and either confirm what I'm seeing or tell me I'm just seeing things wrong, right? As a competitor, assessing yourself is very, very hard to do. It's very, very hard to do in all of these scenarios. So it's really important that you have somebody on your team that can do those things for you, that can fix those things for you. These are the kind of things that we talked about over the last 2 nights with the wellness and with the bikini criteria details that make a difference, make a huge difference between first call out and last call out, right? Those little details. Totally pull it past time when I finished stretching, and now I plan to do it every day so my body thanks you. There you go. I love it. That's our stretching during our live feed. I love it. So, again, going back to always assessing things, not just physique-wise, but presentation-wise too. Get a handle on this stuff when you're actually in the off season, and you can kind of concentrate on it a little bit better, right? If not comfortable or happy with progress, I still check in. This was me this week, but I had checked in. I was honest, shared my struggles with my coach, response focus on self-care, mental breaks. Yep. You better watch out for the mama cutie when she takes the stage in 2023. I'm screaming already. I know, Jennifer, you got to be my cheering crew, man. Like, so for those of you that haven't seen the videos, things like that, so they had a live stream at New York Pro, right? But you can't hear anything on the live stream. They block out all the crowd noise. It's just like background music or whatever. So Jennifer was there. So was Jared. Jared's on the live feed too. Jennifer and Jared were both there. And I'm standing backstage ready to walk on. And I hear Jennifer already screaming. I was dying. I was like, that's my friend. Dying. So when I got on stage, if you watch my presentation, my individual presentation at New York Pro, anytime where I cracked a big, huge smile, that was because Miss Jennifer was screaming for me at that point in time. I was like, how can you not have a big, huge smile when something like that happens? Now she's just got to be my cheering section anywhere I go. Between her and Jasmine, I think we're straight with like the cheering section in the crowd, right? So, but anyway, so going back to the point being that you just need to be able to be objective, and sometimes that's really hard to do for yourself. So it's very important to have somebody on your team who can look at you and say, again, yes, you're right, no, you're wrong. I think for me, what happens a lot of times is in the initial time frame, I see it one way, but then once I give it a minute to process, and I get past the emotion of what I saw or whatever, and I go back to it maybe a few hours later, then at that point I can kind of see it a little bit clearer. And that's the case for most of the presentation details. Again, going back to why I changed my hip strap position on my suit bottoms the last 2 weeks, because I started looking at it from an objective eye versus what I typically focus on, right? I screamed, I cried, I died. Yes. So there were a lot of really good positive things out of the check-in from this week. And again, things that I can bring to you and hopefully help you all improve upon as well, and help keep you mindful of things that you could be doing as well. So this is kind of what I want to do. Like I said, I mentioned this, we've been doing this for like 3 or 4 weeks at this point. So I want to do this, once a week where we just kind of go over this kind of stuff. So with that, what I also want you guys to do, because you joined me here, is if you're checking in with your coach and you want to bring something to the table to talk about during this whole Q&A time frame, do that. Write down whatever your question is, or something that maybe that you picked up on during your check-in with your coach that week, or something like that you wanted to share, or that you just wanted to ask questions, but whatever, just bring it to the table, just like I just did. My points today that I talked about with having your body composition staying in check, having your mobility staying in check, having your objective eye in check. Those are all things that I picked up from my check-ins today or this week, right? So this particular segment that we do each week, I want you guys to do the same thing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So you're welcome to bring in your own thoughts and things that have come from your own check-ins that you maybe want to address, ask questions, or just like I said, just share, maybe that people will pick up on and get something from. Okay, so I want to make this very interactive, where when we do this, we're all taking home little nuggets of information. Cool? All right. So that's our topic for tonight. Now, I didn't even look. I think that there's a pro show this weekend that's in Brazil. So I didn't even look to see if there's a pro list, but we should be getting into some pro shows coming up pretty soon. So we'll start reviewing and previewing pro shows, things like that too, over the next few weeks once we start adding those in. So those will start adding in for our live feeds as well. Again, now the season's going to officially start up, right? We talk about the Arnold being the official start of the season, but we haven't had another show to start talking about since. So with that, last thing I want to do is I want to put up the QR code again. So the QR code that's up right now is for Spotify. But I'm going to put up the QR code for our website too, which is right there. So suitsymposium.com, right there. It'll take you to my website. So if you scan that particular QR code, that'll take you to my site if you want to work with me, because we do hair, makeup, suits, and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. I do not coach. So just so you guys know, I don't do training and diet. I've been in this industry forever, so I know a few things, but I don't actually do training and diet. So I work hand in hand with coaches, right? I work hand in hand with coaches and help them with the presentation aspects. They do the training and diet. I stay in my lane, all of that kind of stuff. So it's still a good thing to talk about this stuff. But at the end of the day, always go back to your coach for your specific needs for your training and diet and all of that. I am not a coach in that regard. Okay. And I don't want to be. So, so don't bring me those kinds of questions. Cool. Yeah, Raven made it right at the tail end, Raven. Good job. So with that, I can help you with the presentation stuff. And I also do, like I said, I do work with the coaches. Jared's on here now. I work with Jared and all of his clients. So, we work hand in hand to create the best packages possible. So, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here for, to give that advice. That's what I'm here for sure. And, like I said, I'll bounce stuff off of y'all, but at the end of the day, you always have to refer back to what your coach wants you to do. So there you go. See, Raven's going over her blood work. That's good. That's good. You need to do that. That's also a whole other topic. We talked about that a lot at Keys Conquering Stage this year. So yeah, whole other topic right there. But with that, this will be our last live feed for this week. So we'll come back again next week on Tuesday. And we'll go live again and we'll have another topic. Something will come up. Something. There's always something to talk about, right? And in the meantime, if you want to come and work with me, SusanPosing.com is where you got to go. And you won't say it unless it's correct. I do not stick my nose in where it does not belong. If it's asked for, sure, I'll give you my opinion. Absolutely. 100%. Otherwise, I won't. Otherwise, because I don't know enough about you to be doing that anyway. Anybody that sticks their nose in that kind of stuff, they shouldn't be doing that anyway, because I don't know enough. I don't know enough about your programming to be able to do that. So that's not my place. So with that, don't come and ask me stuff that you should be asking your coach, okay? Okay, go ask your coach. That's what they're there for. That's what you pay them the big bucks for. That's what they make their money for. Go talk to them, right? All right, you guys. I hope you have a great evening again. Comment, like, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, please do that. This will be available on Spotify as well once we get this wrapped up. So you can watch it on any one of the platforms that you're most comfortable with. But subscribe to all of them. Cool? Listen to all of them. And like them all and comment on all of them. Help us with the algorithms. That's all good, those things. And then we'll see you back here live again on Tuesday. Or if you don't want the truth. If you don't want the truth, don't ask me either, because I will tell you the truth. 100%. We'll tell you the truth. That's it. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here Tuesday. Enjoy your weekends and all that fun stuff. All right. I'm going to log off of Instagram first. And